Hello, Adrian. Let's hear if your sound comes up and also just check if mine is working. You muted at the moment. Pierre, unmute.
Your sound is okay, Chad.
Just okay.
No, it's actually perfect, Chad.
No, I don't want to give him compliments so early in the evening.
Holy mackerel, China, after like 2.5 grand upgrade in the audio, you say it's just okay.
Jan, your green screen also looks nice.
Yeah, no, I like the green. It's psychedelic, and there's a couple of tablets that were circulating, so I'm happy. The only thing I'm not happy about is I don't know why Sunday nights international browsing becomes so slow.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Oh.
I can't get the COVID-19 figures at the moment because it doesn't want to open up. But that's the same with a whole lot of other websites as well.
Maybe some load shedding somewhere is to blame for this.
Yeah, I want to see what happens if I log on via Secunda quickly. Maybe things will improve. But the last month in particular, it has like nailed me here. Hey?
Yeah, maybe some DNS servers goes down when the power goes down.
Yeah, I think it's just some idiots working. Blame it on the Sol website, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, now Secunda's Chrome isn't opening up either, so I'm not having a good evening. Okay, there we go. I got 1900 on the Sunday evening, 17 July 2022. Good evening, everybody. Trust everybody as well. And let's check and see who is in actual fact out there for tonight's check-ins. ZS6OP is standing by.
Moeite doen met daai nie, ons gaan nou weer die inklim wat ek nou maar net op die radio.
Okay, you guys will have to mute. I actually didn't hear who called in there now. All right, the last station that called, I must admit, I missed your call sign. Just say again, there is ZS6OP standing by. Crap, it was him. All right, so let me just acknowledge ZS6 Sierra November Yankee. Then there was an additional station that tried to call in, very noisy. You broke up as well. Do you want to try again? ZS6OP is standing by. All right, so ZS6SNY and ZS6FPS, both on Zoom as well. And I see that we've got George up on Zoom as well. I'll put you down on the list there, George. And while I'm checking the Secunda server, guess what? They've just gone into load shedding and I got kicked off. Okay, any further check-ins? ZS6OP is standing by. Unbelievable. Okay, so this site is not refreshing. Adrian, can you open Google up and just go to this website quickly for me? It'll be cert.net.za/, or must I send it on WhatsApp quickly? Just give me a thumbs up. Okay, 1903. Any further check-ins for tonight's net? ZS6 OPS standing by.
Give it to me, Chair.
Cert.net.za / Juliet Hotel Uniform Whiskey Uniform Whiskey Alpha Tango Charlie Hotel.
I've lost that one. JHBW Whiskey Union Alpha.
Okay, let me try it again. It's JHU Watch Juliet Hotel Uniform Whiskey Alpha Tango Charlie Hotel .php. Okay, 1904. No further check-ins. ZS6 OPS standing by. For anybody else that wants to be added to the bottom of the list.
URL not found on the server.
Okay, just check it against the spelling I've sent you on WhatsApp. CERT.net.za.
Carry on with the other stuff.
Can't believe that that server just went down like that. Yeah, 1900 on the bloody nose. Okay, guys, second last call for any check-ins. There's 6 OPS standing by. I've actually got the heater on in the office, and now I'm getting a little bit warm. What?
Not found.
HTTPS in the beginning. Okay, last call for check-ins. ZS6 OPS standing by. Okay, nothing else heard. Good evening, everybody. Let's get started. It's 1905, just gone past 1905. Thanks to everybody who has called in. Welcome to all of you, and also to all of the listeners out there, especially the guys that are too afraid or feel intimidated and are not calling in and checking in and all the other good stuff. This net runs every Sunday evening from 1900 onwards. Initially intended for all radio amateurs who have an interest in emergency communications. However, I have opened the net up for general call-ins and check-ins via Zoom, where non-amateurs can participate and get involved. You do not need to be a member of any body, entity, or otherwise to join the net. You definitely only need, or the only requirement you definitely must have, is a paid up ECRN license. So outside of that, welcome, thank you, and all the other good stuff. Now, unfortunately, as I just said to Adrian and them, that it seems that every Sunday evening, the international browsing becomes extremely slow, and I'm not in a position to get the weekly COVID-19 figures as yet, unless Adrian, maybe you're not getting in either. So it seems to be a general problem there that it's not coming up at all. Therefore, I'm not going to be able to give you guys the weekly figures for this week, the global figures for this week at least. I know it was close to 560 million, which was again, about 5 million higher, but I'm not going to put my head on a block on that one and stipulate that categorically those are the figures that we have had for the week. I think the biggest news at the moment is the weather conditions in Europe. Just by chance, I happened to see a Met Office report that London, for example, had predicted temperatures in excess of 40 degrees Celsius. And for those of you that know the Brits, anything above 17 degrees and they like panting dogs out in the sunshine, and they cannot handle the heat. So I really don't know how they're going to tolerate 40 degrees plus. And having said that, various other countries, France, Spain, Portugal, and of course, Britain itself. Let me clear the timer. Okay, ZS6OPS returning. France, Spain, Portugal, and of course, Britain and various other parts of Europe are experiencing extremely high temperatures. I know that there have been a couple of reports in the last 2 days that in essence, the blame has been placed on Africa, and these European countries are stating that the heat is coming from the African continent. So I'm not too sure what they're implying, but it just goes to show how the weather pattern has in actual fact changed across the board. I was just saying this morning to a couple of other people that, you know, even our garden, my garden this side is all green. The grass is green, the trees are green, everything is green, and we're at like virtually the end of July, and the season hasn't actually changed. So I'm not going to bring in that favorite term of climate change, but weather patterns definitely have changed. Portugal is suffering from fires. Spain, I think they're busy battling 30 different fires in Spain at the moment. One of the chopper pilots, I think it was a chopper pilot that has lost his life, and a couple of other people have also lost their life due to heat exhaustion and probably dehydration, depending on where they were in actual found. So Portugal are in actual fact battling with 144 fires at the moment, and that is a serious problem in terms of the vegetation, everything else, and then the potential loss to property and, as mentioned, the lives. Now, you know, this is a disaster in its own accord, and what people, I think, moving into the disaster area, what I should actually just bring up and mention here is that when it comes to disasters do not need to run for months on end. Disasters can occur and be over and done with in 24 to 48 hours. The recovery process may in actual fact take a fair bit of time. And, you know, I think myself included, we've all got this sort of psychological concept or thought process that says in order for something to be a disaster, it has to go on for like weeks and months on end or even years on end. Sure, there are many disasters that have been ongoing for years. War being the ultimate of all disasters. I mean, the longest running war at the moment is me fighting my timer. Okay, ZS6OPS returning. The longest running war at the moment is Syria, which is, I think, in year 7, year 8. Somewhere around there, followed pretty closely with Yemen, I should imagine. And then, of course, you know, all the unrest and the war itself in Afghanistan that, in essence, has come to an end, but they're still suffering with all of this. And then from the natural, what's termed the natural disaster side, I mean, we still got countries that are in famine, and Ethiopia, Somalia, there's ongoing battles and infighting and that type of thing. And we always tend to think that a disaster has to take a long time in order for it to be a disaster. These fires in Portugal, this temperature can change literally overnight. And tomorrow, all the fires can just burn themselves out. And by Tuesday, this situation could have resolved itself. It's going to take years to rebuild the properties that are lost, for vegetation to regrow, and all the other good things that people were accustomed to. So I think somewhere along the line, we need to get a mindset shift in our mindset and start looking at the potential of disaster occurring in a very quick, sudden manner and last in a very short period of time. You know, going back 30 odd years, I always used to stipulate during my first aid training classes, look guys, somebody falling down the stairs and breaking an ankle. For most of us, we'll see that as an emergency, but for that individual or their immediate family, that could in actual fact be construed as a disaster, because it could be disastrous for them. They may lose a job, they may lose other opportunities that were in the pipeline and had been presented, etc., etc. So just having a look at the situation in France, Spain, Portugal, England. England that hasn't reported any fires at the moment, but I can assure you people are taking some strain there. They definitely can't handle temperatures over 17 degrees, 21 degrees, and I think they're actually expiring and past their due-by dates and all the rest of it. So 40 degrees is going to be a problem. And then, of course, one of the other amazing things that has been happening over the course of our winter season here in South Africa is the number of high-risk fire reports that have been issued, in particular on the Western Cape. And it's very unusual for us to have that at this time of the year. And then when we sit back and have a look at what actually happened in Knysna in 2017, that in itself was a serious problem. Okay, ZS6IP is returning. So Knysna itself was a problem. And then again, you know, we start looking at the floods that we've had now in KZN in the last 2 months. There's a lot of activity that's taking place around us. And from a communication perspective, this is something we seriously have to consider as radio amateurs, not just CERT volunteers, but radio amateurs in particular should start developing a mindset change as well. And I was going to say something that could have been rather crude, so I'm not going to say it. But in actual fact, generally speaking, radio amateurs across the board need to stop with the foolishness with regards to the purpose of radio communications and the reasoning that they have towards, you know, communications and communication capabilities that we as licensees actually enjoy. And, you know, I think a lot of you that are listening at the moment, I can see Pierre sitting there literally with his head in his hands. He's trying to figure out what I'm talking about. So let me try and just justify and clarify what I'm saying and why it is that I've gone from that disaster situation to fires into communications. One of the biggest things that has actually come out in this last week in particular, which I'm sure there's a vast majority of South Africans that are not aware of the following. Firstly, there are several states in the United States of America who have begun notifying residents in certain areas and asking them to reduce their electrical consumption because their power utilities are incapable of providing electricity. Hang on, doesn't that sound like South Africa? They're threatening rolling blackouts. Hold on a sec. Isn't that load shedding in South Africa? Well, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are listening, and of course, for those that watch the video, you're probably going to want to go and do some fact checking. You know, you've got to make sure Chad is wrong because it's the only way that you can get things right in life. What I suggest you do is go and consult Dr. Google, and you'll be surprised to learn that it is not only certain areas in the United States of America, but Australia as well. Currently, there are 15 power plants on the eastern coast or east side of Australia that have been shut down due to the infrastructure failure. ZS6IP is returning. And that's because of the fact that these plants, these electrical supply points are old, dilapidated, under-maintained or not maintained at all. Hang on, but that sounds like South Africa. Then we've got Germany that's in a similar situation. And there was one other European country, and now it's just gone over the top of my head. So there's a lot of countries that are actually experiencing these problems. And this is something that we now, as radio amateurs, really need to take to heart and adjust our mindset, stop with these foolish games, stop with these ridiculous thought processes as to what communications are. Because regardless of what you might think, what you might be told, what you might in actual fact believe, just bear in mind that amateur radio in South Africa still is supposed to, and I said the word supposed to deliberately, follow the precept of amateur radio worldwide. And I'd encourage every single radio amateur to forget about reading anything about South African purpose, South African reasoning, and just go and study very carefully the first couple of lines of the IARU Region 1 Constitution and grasp what it says about emergency communications. And if you were in actual fact to do that and really let that settle in and come to you will probably come to the realization when you overcome the intimidation tactics, when you overcome the peer pressure, when you overcome the fact that somebody has been an amateur for 40 or 50 or 60 years, it doesn't mean that they are always right. Because for 40, 50, 60 years, they may actually have been wrong, number one, or number two, they might still be working in the 1902 regulations. That's the second thing. Go and have a look at the 2015 radio frequency spectrum regulations itself to understand why it is that I say it's time for radio amateurs to change your mindset when it comes to emergency communications. Sure, guys, those of you that are listening, I can just see you sitting there, throwing your toys out the cot, telling your wives this, telling your girlfriends that, this, that, and everything else in between it. But just stop and think for a minute. Not once have I said, as I said, there's 6 IPS returning after a timeout timer. Not once have I actually said, don't do this, whatever your interest is, or don't do that, whatever your interest is, or you shouldn't be doing something else, because my passion and my desire is emergency communications. I leave you to do what you want to do. It's time to leave the rest of us on the emergency communication side to do what we want to do. And I know it's been said, and I'm now going to officially put it on record. It has been said in writing to me personally that there's only one organization permitted to do emergency communications when it comes to amateur radio. Well, I'd like to challenge you, every one of you that think and believe that and have heard it. And I'm going to ask you to go and read the regulations and tell me where exactly in the regulations that is law. If you can show me that, I will gracefully apologize publicly, if need be, to you and every other individual who might take offense to what I've just said, because the regulations stipulates a licensee may. That's you, that's me, and every other paid up Picasso licensed radio amateur. That's the bottom line. Prove me wrong on it. I challenge you. This is the middle of 2022. Our country is on the verge of a total shift right across the board. And now I'm going to come out quite openly, quite frankly, and I'm going to challenge you, every single one of you. Please, you're more than welcome to phone me. My contact details are on the SAL website. You're more than welcome to email me. I don't know if my telephone number is there, but for those of you that are listening, if you would like to add me to WhatsApp, even if it is to swear at me and, you know, whatever else, try and abuse me, check my shoulders are broad and big, very much like my stomach. I can handle it. My telephone number, 082 08292684. I'll give it to you again, just in case you didn't have time to get pen and paper. So I'll give you an opportunity to grab a piece of pen and some paper. That should be a piece of paper and a pen or pencil. But if you do bring a pencil, please make sure that you've got a sharpener in case you break the tip because of the anger of putting pressure on the pencil, it might break. I challenge every single amateur, a radio amateur in South Africa today, to prove me wrong on my statements that I have just made. I further challenge you and ask you as radio amateurs to consider changing your mindset. ZS6 OPS returning. Challenge every radio amateur in this country to change your mindset in terms of emergency communications and to start looking at ways whereby you can fulfill a role that will be of benefit to your friends, your family in particular, and then, of course, to anybody else who may, in actual fact, be in need. I actually thought my phone is going ballistic here. Meantime, it is the EMS WhatsApps that are coming through with the number of calls. So I'm rather disappointed that nobody has added me as yet to WhatsApp and sent me any messages. I'll be standing by for that. Having said that, I think I may have given everybody sufficient time to, in actual fact, get a pen and paper. So please go ahead, take down my number as 082-859-2684. And for those of you, especially the new radio amateurs that may be listening, or not maybe, I know you guys are listening, you're more than welcome to add me to your address book. The name is Chad, Charlie, Hotel, Alpha, Delta. This is a direct challenge to every radio amateur throughout the country. And of course, my call sign Zulu Sierra 6, Oscar Papa Sierra. Okay, so that's enough on the disaster-related issues for this evening in terms of the fires in Europe. I know that there's going to be some questions. So from my side, I'm now going to throw this out into the open arena. Firstly, I want to check to see if there's anybody that would like to add their name, especially if you want to raise a point or a question. And then I will check and see if anybody else would like to bring anything else up. So first step, any other late check-ins for this evening's net? ZS6 OPS standing by. I suppose it would be inappropriate for me to come back and call everybody a coward who's listening and hasn't called in. Okay, so nobody else has checked in at this moment in time. Let's find out from the guys that are up. George, if you've got something to add or want to ask, I suggest you bring your miner's lamp over to your Zoom meeting and just give me a thumbs up. If not, you can carry on cooking your supper there. Adrian, I think you've got something. Please go ahead. ZS6 OPS standing by. And I think, Adrian, just unmute your microphone so that we get it on the recording. And then at least it is on record as well. So give me a radio check on Zoom quickly. I won't DK.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Okay, got your test 1, 2, 3, 5, 5. Go ahead. ZS6 SNY, ZS6 OPS.
Thank you, Chad. ZS6 Sierra November Yankee. Guys, Chad said about preparedness and possible disaster. As we all know, I don't think everybody knows, but Sasol is the last petrol that was in operation till this afternoon. They declared force majeure, that there is no crude oil available for them to refine into fuel. They only have the gas to fuel plant up and running, which only provides 20% of the country's fuel. So yeah, there is a looming disaster with regards to fuel right on our doorsteps. ZS6 SNY.
Okay, good stuff. There we go. Adrian, yeah, ZS6 OPS returning. Very valid point that you have brought up there. I was going to throw this in as a final point. I did read the article, and they do stipulate they are expecting some crude oil to arrive at some stage in the near future. However, that means that we will and potentially will have some fuel shortages or can expect them. We will have to wait and see. There is no confirmation, but there is a very great likelihood of this transpiring. Again, challenge to every radio amateur. Change your mindset. And if you've got a problem with what I'm saying, please feel free to contact me directly. And let's discuss it in a gentleman's manner. Pierre, is there anything that you want to add? ZS6 FPS, ZS6 OPS?
Hi, Chad. No, not really. I'm just still shocked about what Adrian said. But what is wrong?
Daar's nie radiokans nie, hoor.
Yeah, no, I'm not on my radio at this moment. So this is just a Zoom what response that I'm giving here. Yeah, I've got nothing further to add at this moment, Chad. I'm still, like I said, just still shocked about what the news that we just got from Adrian. Back to you.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah, now, Pierre, I didn't do my double mic trick there. So unfortunately, everybody didn't copy what you had to say. Just to elaborate on what Pierre said, he's just rather shocked by what Adrian has had to say. And of course, I just want to check briefly with George, guys. If Zoom bombs out, we'll reopen as soon as I close off on the net. So don't run away on that one. George, is there anything that you would like to ask? I'll keep it short if possible, because I'm not going to rebroadcast it. I will try and just give a highlight of it. Over to you, George, from ZS6 OPS.
ZS6 GRG. I'm currently running a gas lamp.
Oh, stop being so childish and grow up, please, man. Have some respect for people. You know, that there is on video camera. So please have some respect. Really. It's time that you guys are taken to task, and I'm taking you to task now. This is ZS6 OPS, still busy with George. George, keep it short.
I thought you was talking to me. But anyway, yeah, I heard, I was watching the news and I heard the thing about Cecil. It's quite concerning. Otherwise, nothing on my side.
All right, good stuff there, George. Thanks, man. Yeah, also just concerned as to what has been said. You know, guys, just for the record, we got people like this that on our radio amateurs that do this. But yeah, we're discussing some serious matters. That fool, and I'm calling you outright on the radio a fool, because a foolish person is not an idiot, but they are somebody that goes against everything that is like acceptable norms, if I can put it to you that way. You know, guys, by doing things like this, radio amateurs tend to forget that not only their friends, their family, but other radio amateurs may very well need, and there's one gentleman in particular, and if he's listening, good stuff. But if the other guys that are listening know who it is, they're going to know who I'm talking about. These are the guys that have to get up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to fill generators to keep their wives alive because they're on life support systems. And radio amateurs across the board, you can blah, 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 whatever you think. You could be costing the life of somebody's family member because of the stupidity that is displayed here. I said I'm going to make this a challenge, and I'm making it a challenge. Don't be a coward. Rather come and give your call sign and express your views, and let's discuss it. Don't do things like this. It's not appreciated, and it's definitely not accepted. So having said that, guys, we are about to time out on Zoom, so let me try and wrap up on 625, and then the three of us will continue on Zoom. Just give me a minute to reopen it and come back on. Are there any further check-ins or late check-ins for this evening? ZS6 OPS standing by. Okay, nothing else heard. Guys, now, because of the fact that we weren't able to get the COVID-19 figures, please bear in mind, COVID-19 definitely has not come to an end. The one thing I can tell you, there is a new variant, which is still under investigation. It's called the Ninja variant. They've nicknamed it the Ninja variant, and I think it's a BA4 and a BA5 that has been identified in Europe. So COVID is definitely not over. Again, if you are going to go around people who have got comorbidities, then rather wear a mask. If you are out in public, even though the regulations say you don't have to, maybe it'll be a good idea. Again, sanitize your hands on a regular basis and physically distance yourself if need be. This is still a precautionary measure. It's no longer in terms of regulations. This is a personal preference. And for those of you that choose to do it, you should do it. And, you know, other people shouldn't judge you for it because it's not their right. They don't have that right to judge you on it. You need to consider yourself, look after yourself, look after and look out for your loved ones moving forward. So having said that, there's the sanitation, the physical distancing, wearing the masks, that one is covered. And finally, last but not least, for the next week, of course, just be prepared. See, even now I forgot my own slogan. Be happy, be prepared, be prepared, and of course be happy. So there we go. That's what you get for a blah blah blah. You throw a spanner in the works. I hope you're proud of yourself, and I hope you have a good night's sleep. And I hope that somebody will actually deal with you with regards to that childishness. Having said that, good evening, everybody. Please, if you have recorded this, please send it to ICASA. I would like to take it up with them. I welcome that as a challenge as well. I'm just giving you fair warning with regards to that. This is ZS6 OPS releasing 145.625 for general use. Cheers all. Okay, guys, I am going to shut this Zoom meeting down and I am going to open it up again. If I can find where my cursor is. There we go. I'll open it up in 2 seconds, okay?